Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. Today we're talking about a fanfiction called Second Chance. Details about this fanfiction the inscription below. This is I don't well I feel I'm not more like a transmigrated as a Chloe fanfiction because I feel like to be reborn it would be like from the beginning, it's like oh she was as it like reborn, like oh Chloe was just born and now she's like oh from like a baby, but she's not. This is like before. It's like not that long before Origin starts, really, before she got transmigrated. But so clearly, some things are different and some things aren't different. And I will say I like how the person, like how they write this, how because it's always my favorite, right? Where whatever it is, whether they're reborn or they're transmigrated, isekai, whatever, is that they don't go out of their way to overly involve themselves in the plot, right? If they happen to be involved, they happen to be involved. And obviously, as like Chloe, it's like I mean, you can't. You're literally sharing a class with everyone who is so involved in the plot, so like kind of hard to avoid that, right? But she's not going out of her way, right? And she's obviously nicer because she's not like the original Chloe. And obviously, these are her classmates. Might as well get along with them, right? Have a new clean slate with everything, and it's acknowledged by everyone like oh yeah she has been nicer and she's been like like turned over a new leaf, like yeah, because like again sharing class with them, might as well, right? And but she doesn't go out of her way to be like with Marinette and the girl squad. She doesn't like, is she aware that Marinette is like a fan of Adrian, because this is like her extent of knowledge of it? Yes, but is she going like is she gonna go out of her way to like be involved in like plans with the girl squads, like oh to set them up? No, because she really does. Who cares? None of my business. Why would I care, right? So she's there but not overly involving herself where she doesn't really need to be, and like inserting herself, which is always my favorite in any type of manga, webtoon, whatever, right? Always my favorite. Because it really is like a stay in your own lane and don't involve yourself, and if it does, whatever. But it, Bubbler happens kind of like relatively the same, except like she does say like, okay, planning a birthday party for Adrian, right? Which does end up happening because we get a separate chapter for that after the whole Bubbler incident. But during that, but when the bubble finally pops, is where she meets Luca, right? And this is what kickstarts their whole kind of like love story. They have like a whole little meet cute because he's the one who ends up catching her when she falls out of the bubble, and he shows up for Adrian's birthday party. She's like, I didn't think you were coming. They end up dancing very clearly. They're for each other. And then this is where she also ends up meeting Plague because she goes to the kitchen to get the birthday cake. And Plague is just there eating cheese. Very clearly not supposed to be away from Adrian. And she realized, she like recognizes this. She's like, what are you doing? And she doesn't give anything away. Like she also doesn't, like, she doesn't give anything away. She doesn't also like push for like answers, because I mean not that Plague was really gonna answer them anyway, because he's like, I'm Plague, call me, that's all I'm answering. It's like cool, okay, not gonna, but she doesn't invite him like, you come over whenever you want to have cheese, because it's like, well, might as well give you like another like a safe space that you can come to just to eat whatever. And that does happen like literally like the next chapter where it's like Mr. Pigeon, where they're in the whole whatever derby hat. There you go. I was like, what kind of hat was it? Derby hat. Where at first she wasn't really all that interested, but because she's like a little competitive. She's like, oh, did you hear? It's like Adrian thinks Merit Sign is like really good and blah blah. And then she kind of gets like a little competitive, which I do like because at first very clearly had no interest, did not care, and then she's like, well, and like she gets a little competitive, and not like out of malicious or anything. It's just like it's like, well, it's like a challenge, and that's when like she goes into like she's like heading to her room to design, and that's where Plague is. He hands her a rose. It's like, oh, and so they just hang out, And it's actually a very kind of sweet moment of like him kind of helping here and there and bringing her little snacks, and they're just eating together, and then eventually he has to leave because Mr. Pigeon happens. But then when they end up going back to the hotel and they have to recharge, because she's still there, she's still making her hat. Adrian ends up coming into her room accidentally. She's like, oh. And so he's like, I can explain. It's a magic trick. Meanwhile, Plaque doesn't even care. He's just already flopped on the bed. He's like, ugh, I'm tired. I can't do this anymore. Sir, if you don't get up, you're dramatic. And this is where, Chloe comes clean, but she is like, okay, it's fine. Like, I'm not going to tell anyone. Like, it doesn't matter, right? So she ends up bringing cheese to Plague because, like, and, Adrian very quickly puts together, it's like, you two know each other? It's like, how'd you even meet? At the birthday party. So this is where, and he's like rightfully worried for her because it's like, well, my secret now. It's like, you'll be in danger, you might even be killed. Which I do like in this fanfiction. You definitely don't shy away from. Like, it's not often mentioned, but when it does come up, it's like you're reminded, like, oh yeah, you could die. Like, just immediately. So it's like, it's not, it's not like mentioned every, like, oh, the stakes are high, but it is like every so often you are reminded, like every few like chapters, it's like they're dead. Oh yeah. I don't think anyone would survive that. I forgot about, like, it's like, oh right, who would live through that? I don't think you could, like, of course you're dying, like, but so he's rightfully really worried, and she's like, well, that's a chance I'm willing to take. So this is how Adrian, is like, they're very transparent, and how she knows his identity, and any excuse, it's like Chloe has his back. It's like, oh, he's doing this. Doesn't matter, right? Because it's like they know each other's identity, which becomes, very important later when she eventually becomes Queen Bee. Obviously, her identity is like, she doesn't reveal her identity because that's stupid. But her and Luca become an item during. They kind of been going on dates before then, but like Dark Cupid is definitely where, like, and it's where Kim, right? Because he's going to confess his feelings. Which, now that I'm thinking about it, because I'm like, I even like rewatched the episode too, because I'm like, is that really happened? I'm like, it is. I'm like, and at this point, like, not even talking about the fanfiction, like, just in canon, you know how Chloe is. And so, Max, why did you encourage that? Like, you knew it was Chloe, and you didn't think for 5 seconds to be like, Kim, I love you, but that sounds like a terrible idea. Like, she's not the greatest person. Like, she's going to reject you. You know what I mean? So it's like, you didn't think for 5 seconds, like, I probably shouldn't encourage this. You just went ahead with it because why? Like, for the sake of, like, supporting your friend. Sometimes, okay, I don't know who needs to hear this. Blindly supporting your friends isn't always great. It might seem mean to just be like, hey, let's not do this. But sometimes that's like a hell of a lot better than just blindly supporting them and then them ending up hurt. That's way better. But this one, obviously, she's with Luca, and they're off to like a better relationship, her and Marinette. Obviously, because she's not like going around being like a bitch. Like, she's not going around being like a terrible person, but she's they have like a much better relationship. Hell, for like a Valentine's Day present, because she handed Valentine's Day like things off to everyone. She handed like a signed poster of Adrian, and it's like, oh, he never signed anything. Well, she's like, oh, I know you're such a big fan, and like that's it, and that's the extent of it. It's not like she really gets involved with anything else. And but knowing that, Meredith's like, ooh, that's bad, because literally the reason that Chloe's headed over to that place where, Kim's gonna intercept her is like because she's meeting Luca, because they're going to go on a date. So it's like not fantastic, and they're like, ooh. And so obviously she doesn't rejecting him, and rejection hurts. I mean, there's no like, you know, but then Kim gets really like, oh, but I've liked you for like a really long time. It's like, okay, well, still no, and like to the point where Lucas and Pierre are like, okay, she said no. Let's calm down. Like, okay. So he gets traumatized after it. And since then, Kim's kind of been like he's changed. He's become more mean. He's been like almost kind of taking place of like Chloe because she's not, this she's not mean to the others. And so like Kim, but I wouldn't say it's like kind of come out of nowhere because Kim I feel like is always just like he says things without thinking about it. You know what I mean? So if it's hurtful, it's like it's not like he meant it to be malicious. Usually, if he's just said the first thing without even really thinking about it, and it's just like, and then he looks around, like, and then he'll look around and people see like, dude, and that's when he's like, oh my bad, I didn't mean to like, for it to come off that way. But so that's why it's not that jarring to see him kind of slowly, like, especially like Heartbreaker where it shows where he had been really like purposeful, like with his words. So it's no longer the careless, like he's careless with it. He's like purposeful, like where he's saying mean things. So instead of Chloe antagonizing Mylin, it's Kim, and it's like, oh, this isn't great. I will say Lucas is also there, just because again they're boyfriend, they're dating at that point. Lucas is also there, which shows. I mean, what was it? Time Tagger. By that point, again, that's in the beginning. They're not dating, but like any kind of class event, Lucas just also there, just kind of tagging along until they start dating, and then she's like, "Yeah, come over and whatever," right? And so Kim is the one who kind of like takes the place as like the antagonist instead of her, like in Evil Shader, because again, and she didn't really care. So with Kim, who picked up the book instead, and he was the one who teased, like, oh, look, which again, not really out of character. He did that with Ivan too, where he like kind of riled him up of like, oh, you can't even tell Mylin you like her. So like, not out of character. And, but it was like, what are you even doing, right? Because it's like, really? And so, but again, it was like showing like how careless he was, but not necessarily out of like a malicious kind of, he was just careless and didn't think of anything of it. It's like, dude, until like, and it slowly is like, it's kind of like, he starts to not spiral, but definitely like goes the direction of like, all right, we're getting progressively more like purposeful here. During Antibug, it's not even really Antibug, right? Because again, not a fan, doesn't really care. No, instead she gets more akumatized, and like she does try it because look, she knows Adrian's identity. Not great to be like fully akumatized with that, but it's like he doesn't fully. Well, it's not like really has control over. Well, okay, well, like he does kind of have control over them, but like he doesn't with Chloe, which is a huge difference. And instead of Antibug, it's like Homegirl's just like Azula, right? So she's just like a firebender. Fantastic. And the reason she gets akumatized is because kind of like in canon where they didn't listen to her. But instead of being, because originally Chloe was hurt and devastated, it's like, oh, she didn't, because like she's a fan. She's a disappointed fan. I was in this one, she does not care, right? But so it would be a hell of a lot more frustrating if it's like you're telling people, especially since they don't, like, what is there to like not trust her on? Or she's just telling you, like, yo, it's in the clip, like it's there, like it's in the brooch, like it's right there, and then they just don't listen, and then they get upset at you, like you're like a child, and be like, why'd you get in the way? It's like, what? What? Like I feel like that would be frustrating. Like I would be hella upset at that too. Like I'd be frustrated too, because it's like I hate you, like And the reason Serena got like a Kumita in the first place is because again, her and Luca are dating, and so she felt that. So she was really going after Luca because she felt that Luca was taking her place. She'll won't be like Chloe won't want to hang out with her anymore. But she quickly shifts focus to Chloe because she brings attention to herself. She's like, don't go after Luca, just go after Right. And so then that's where it kind of, you know, and so here we are. And then the whole thing happens. And then kind of the unexpected happened where because akumatizing her in the first place kind of went sideways because it didn't really work. It's not like he had the connection with her. Um, for whatever reason, she still has like kind of some semblance of the power. So I guess she's just kind of a she's she's just kind of a fire. Well, not completely like a firebender now, but like still, she still has like the power. And so she's like, what am I gonna do? Honestly, I see no downsides to it though. I mean, well, unless you get frustrated, then I guess it's really okay, sure. But other than that, really aren't any downsides, are there? And then the whole Wilpina episode happens. And I liked the twist with this because obviously she goes out to help, right? As like um she goes out to help, right? As like a maracas holder. This is before obviously Marinette kind of knows anything. And I like the twist of it because originally it was like, okay, yeah. And like even like she was thinking it too, like, oh yeah, this Lila was like lying about this or that, like, oh, I'm being descended superhero. Maybe not. I don't know. Because it turned out Fu had lost the peacock miraculous, the butterfly miraculous, and the fox miraculous. Sir, you lost 3 miraculous and a book. What the fuck? So it turns out it's like, so she's like, that's the real miraculous she has? It's like, yes. So it's like, what the fuck? like, are you serious right now? She actually has the real miraculous. So when she gets there and she's feeling Marinette and she's like, no, like those are her illusions, everything. Oh, so it's fake. Like, and it's like, oh no. She actually does have the miraculous. It's just like now she's a Kumina, so she can, you know, use Mirage like unlimited now, right? But that's like an actual miraculous she has. So it's like, which I feel like because Lila is like, you know, not a great person, and because Trix, when they eventually retrieve Trix, Trix is like terrified. So it does like, what is it only recently because like you know her holder being Lila, or is it just like an ongoing thing of like being passed down from one bad holder to the next, or is it just with Lila, right? And if it is just with Lila, what could she have possibly done? You know what I mean? Like, what could she have used? Oh my god, because I feel like that would make it so much worse because she's just like a girl who just lies for attention, yeah. But now she has miraculous like backup, whatever. Like as in like I'm thinking from like a perspective of like framing people. You know what I mean? It's like, oh well, I saw this person do that, and like, well, no one's gonna deny that. Everyone saw it because they saw what they think the person is, like you know, a mirage. So it's like the thought process behind it of like, oh my god, if she actually had the miraculous, and they did end up getting it back, obviously, after the whole peanut thing. They're like, no, don't, you can't walk off. That doesn't belong to you. So she's like forced to give it back. Oh my god. I mean, it doesn't stop her from, you know, turning into like Volpina again, obviously, but like, at least this time, she doesn't have like the actual miraculous. The episode where Kagami is introduced is where things really start to change, and like, even she's like, no idea what's going on, right? Because it's not only her, it's Kite, who's her brother. And it's like, what now? But because everything kind of happens so fast, she doesn't ever like, it doesn't ever kind of sit for a second of being like, oh my god, what's happening, right? And the only time it really does is where, not Befana, something else happens after that, which is why it's like, but Captain Hard Rock, where this is supposed to be where we first get introduced to Luca and Marinette's whole meet cute moment with him. But instead, and so, I mean, she's never thought about it, honestly. Who cares? Why would you ever? But we're introduced to Luke, who is Luca's twin brother. And so this is where it really starts setting up like, what is happening right now? Everyone's having a twin. Something's going on, right? And so it's like, so I'm very obviously the one that Meredith has her meet cute moment with, and is like, oh, will they? Well, they won't, but like, you know what I mean, is with Luke instead, because obviously Luca is dating Chloe, and even very clearly gets married and has kids in the future, because during the Bay Fun episode, on their way over to the party, you know, they have presents and everything, like a portal opens up, and then two kids come falling out, like two toddlers. They're like, what the hell? They catch them, obviously, because they're not going to let them fall, but they're like, what the hell is happening? Especially since they both called them mom and dad. Help. What? And so they're like, no. What are we doing here? And they're, you know, and they look at their names. One of them's Angel, and the other's, oh my god, it's slipping my mind. I don't remember what it is. But their names are basically named after, like her favorite book, characters in the book that she read. And so it's like, okay, this is Rick going through things right now, and like the note and everything. It's like, okay, so these are kids, basically. They're kids from the future. And obviously, we do get from his perspective a bit more on it later during the whole, what was it, Story Weather 2.0, where, you know, they're talking about the change. And I do like how, in general, it's like an overview of the changes and everything, from everyone's perspective. But, like, I do like how, from Luca's perspective, where he, you know, talks about his own family and how, you know, obviously, because we don't really know that Jagged, okay, at this point, unaware that Jagged Stone is his dad. But, you know, it's always kind of felt incomplete. And whenever he did ask about, like, you know, his dad, and Arthur just kind of always, like, sidestepped it, didn't really want to answer it. And, you know, kind of seeing everyone else have both parents in their lives. And then seeing, you know, Chloe very, like, came into his life and very much changed a lot of everything. And then seeing that, you know, in the future, because of their kids, that they're still together and they have like a complete family is like so, like, reassuring to him, because it's like you're the right track, you know. And then we also get from Marin's perspective of everything, how everything's changed, right? The whole reason Story Weather 2.0 happened is because someone, some background extra, doesn't matter, was making fun of Aura because, oh, you have a crush on Adrian, like, oh, he'll never turn his eye towards you. Because at this point, oh my god, he started liking Chloe, right? Not great. Not great. So he started liking Chloe. And it's so obvious. Literally everyone is able to tell. But that's what she makes fun of her for. It was, and then Marina kind of overheard that, and it kind of got her thinking how she hasn't obviously made any progress with Adrian. But then, like, you know, compared to like Chloe, it's like, look at her. She's practically turned over a whole new leaf, and she's doing great. And she's, you know, I mean, like, she has a whole boyfriend and like kids from, because again, at this point, the whole secret identity status is like, between her and Adrian, everything's completely transparent. He knows that she's Queen Bee. She knows that he's Kanamar. With kind of in the beginning, obviously, everything's completely transparent between them two, but not in the beginning. In the beginning, it was just like, she doesn't know that she knows. But after the whole collector thing and revealing that she has like some connection to like the Americas in general and to Master Fu, it's like, okay, so she's also Queen Bee, right? So full transparency. The only ones who don't know is Chloe and, or not Chloe, Marinette and Adrian don't know each other's identity. So, you know, that's still the same. It's just that Chloe's really like the middleman between them, of just like full transparency between them. But by this point, so Marinette just kind of overall feels like she's made no progress with him, and so she gets, you know, but Tiki kind of cheers her up, like, oh, you could still, but like, it's pretty hard to know, especially since she, again, really obvious to anyone that he really likes Chloe, like everyone can tell it, right? And obviously that kind of doesn't really sit well with, I mean, not that she's really that worried, I like, at least because it's like, again, Chloe has a boyfriend, kids from the future with him, it's fine. I mean, it's not like he's paying attention to her, but like still. But that happens at some point. I think it was during Despair Bear. Yeah, because she was kind of in danger from there. Yikes. Where he was like relieved she's okay, and that's where he finally acknowledged like, oh my god, I like Chloe. It's like, and obviously again, by this point, it's like, dude, she's got a like, she's got a boyfriend, kids from the future, and ain't doing good for you. Let's just calm down here, right? And they do end up having like a talk about it too, because Luca ends up being annoying. He's like, so do you want it? It's like, I got this. So you end up going out to dinner where she does end up telling him, it's like, but very sweet, but like, no. Like, no. But she does give him like some solid advice, or just, like about moving on, and in general, just like, how about choosing someone who's not in our profession, not a hero, just like a regular civilian who has nothing to do with this. Go for someone like that and not any of this. Because at this point, it's like, oh, from Ladybug to her, it's like, let's just choose someone else. Be done with it. I think we're good. And so I did like it because it didn't really come from a place of like, okay, and like I'm like a sucker for that type of thing in any webtoon manga, whatever, right? Where like things like this come from a place of like genuinely caring for that person, and not because, oh, I have to get the plot back on track, or like, oh, like, right, like it doesn't like really matter to them. They're just like, she cares for Adrian and that's it. So the advice doesn't really come from a place of, trying to steer him towards Marinette. It just kind of comes from a place of like her genuine care for Adrian and just telling him honestly, like, all right, move on. Like, move on. During the whole, oh my god, what's that episode called? Sabotus? Where, Ollie gets the Fox Reckless. That's where Luca, I shouldn't say finds out, really. He's kind of just known. He just said it out loud. Because he's like, you're Queen Bee, aren't you? Like, what? It's like, I mean, the only difference is you have a black stripe in your hair. It's like, all right, well. So, this is where he knows. And so from then on, he's kind of much more involved with the Reckless. Just like she is, right? Because obviously he's going to have the same Reckless. And at first, Master Fu was like against it because like he meets them. It's like, I don't know, this because like history repeating itself. Because apparently, an incident kind of happened with a past bee and snake holder, right? Where it didn't work out so well. And he's like, I would literally rather die than let anything ever happen to Chloe or really do anything to betray her. It's like, we're great then. We're golden. So that's what happens. This is also where we get Trix, where she's like, Trix is terrified, right? Again. And it is part of the reason, and Ollie understands, because, like, again, we're just like, oh, can I keep the Reckless? Like, no. It's like, because if Lila comes back and she sees it, she's going to make something up to try and get it. And it's like, so no, you can't have it. And she's like, oh. So I do like it's just earlier on telling, it's like, no, you can't have it, because Lila's very clearly like a nutcase. You can't have it. And it's like, oh yeah, that sucks. So we love this. And then we get the Queen's Battle, which is supposed to be obviously a Miracle Queen, but obviously it's not Chloe. It's instead Kite. Oh boy. And Chloe ends up being like, it's like where it's instead, it's a whole mess basically. And so Chloe ends up being made guardian instead. And so everything's kind of put on her shoulders instead. Kind of like we had the last freak out during like Heroes Day. Heroes Day is when she quickly put it into the illusion. Then Mayor made her appearance. They end up fighting. Chloe ends up getting captured. Fantastic. And so now we're like all hands on deck. It's like Luca's there with Ladybug. Just like, he's like, just choose all the maracas. Just do all of it. And like, because he's freaking the fuck out. He has a child with him. He's freaking out. He's like, and she's about to choose. And I guess this is supposed to be like, it was foreshadowing that very clearly Marinette wasn't a good choice for being guardian, because when going to choose a miraculous for Luca, she ends up hovering over like the monkey miraculous. But it's because Angel, I think it was Angel, one of them, ends up pointing at Snake miraculous and like saying Snake, because again, from the future knows that's what he is. that's what she ends up using, like choosing instead. So I guess that's foreshadowing of like she wasn't going to be like guardian and wouldn't really be a good fit because why that one? But I don't know. um, so he ends up being involved and he's hella like, I'm gonna kick her ass after this. And that is also where during the end, at the end of the fight, where she does everyone like, okay, that was Peacock Miraculous. Everyone needs to be on guard. And she also tells everyone they're just up front, like not even messing around. She's like, be wary of Lila. She's very clearly working with Hawkmoth, like, and like she's gonna take any chance she can get to get someone to kumatize or herself kumatize. So be wary of her. So when Chameleon comes around, absolutely not that many people around her, right? But like Alia, Nino, like Juka, Ivan. I shouldn't say Mylan. I think Mylan was there, but Ivan's not there. Nathaniel, nowhere near around her. They're all chilling out because obviously for them for good reason. But then we find out because it spread to the rest of them that Lila was there and like earlier. She was just, I guess, introduced to the class like during the whole Volpina thing, but she was kind of already there and she was already kind of a terrible person. Because the whole like incident with Juka, because again, that whole again, it wasn't Chloe. She didn't lock her in the bathroom. It was Lila, and and that kind of spread around like to Nathaniel, and it's like, oh, so already it's like okay, so she's already kind of ruined her chances. So it's not that many people around her, right? And the whole switching seats thing, it didn't matter. Chloe was sitting next to Adrian because she had her foot in a cast because it ended up broken because they were skateboarding and she's trying to do a trick and Luca was freaking the fuck out because he's like, oh my god, I almost killed my girlfriend. So she has like a legitimate reason of being there. Like, yeah, my foot's broken. My leg's broken. I can't. You want to hobble back to the room? Like, it's not happening. And, Marinette and Lila are upset about this. Different reasons, of course, but still upset about this. And it's like, yeah, my boyfriend got freaked out and that was it. And Chloe's like, I'll just move. And even Adrian's like, no, oh my god, no. It's the point where he hits her leg. And it's like, what the? It's like, she's fine. We have something to do after this. So I can't help you. Like, I have to help Chloe with catching up on something. When, Lila tries to make a move. And she's like, what the hell was that? It's like, I don't want to hang out with her. It's like, he's like, I'm sorry, but I just don't want to hang out with her. So it's like, you know what? Fits. But, like, you did not have to hit her leg. That was a lot. Oblivio is where, right, their memories are erased from the very beginning. And she kind of planned for this ahead. So her phone was already unlocked. She already had, like, the most basic of, like, notes in her phone of, like, who each of them are, the Kwamis, their powers, like, explanation for that, right? And, like, what's going on, right? So the basics of what was happening. And so it's just the four in there, like her, Luca, Adrian, Marinette. And so they de-transform, and it's like, okay, fantastic. We don't know what's going on. And so she's looking at this, and it's like, as she's like reading her notes, and it's like, okay, we're this, we're that. It's like, and she's like, wait, we have kids? It's like, oh, we're dating. It's like, cool. It's like, wait, we have kids? And he's like, I'm sorry, what now? Complete with pictures and everything, like as a slideshow. And so he's like, oh my god. It's like, wait, my girlfriend's like a super cool superhero though. And she's the only one able to transform because they run out of time for telling Marinette like her phrases, and then Plague, he left. We have no idea where he is, but he ends up coming back, and everything kind of gets resolved. And like a little sweet moment of like, I'll stay here. I don't want to hawk off like discovering any connection between us, putting the kids in danger. Very sweet. Reflected all the whole Kwame episode. A lot happened, right? So she's hanging out with Luca again. Doesn't overly involve herself in any of the girls' things. Doesn't really care for it. Has her own things going on, and so, but she sees Druka off saying like, you're very pretty. Have confidence in yourself, like whatever, right? And then it goes sideways, and she's like, God damn it! And this is where Blag and T come knocking on their door, like on the window, because like, hey, it's like, are you serious? It's like, so we need help. And so she gives her miraculous, to Plague. It's like, all right, go give that to Adrian then, right? Because she just curious. Just kind of want to see what he looks like. And honestly, same. I would like. It's not necessary, but I do the same. I want to. I want to see what it looks like. And so he ends up becoming Mr. Sting. He comes in late though, because like he couldn't get away from everyone else. But so for the most part, it was her and Luca. She takes on the Cat Miraculous, and Luca being the Ladybug Miraculous. And so they end up fixing everything, and everything's going back to normal, and everything's great. It's fine. And make a little bit of foreshadowing because Marinette, subtly throughout this entire second kind of season, we do get subtle foreshadowing of Marinette, right? It was in Chameleon where her and Adrian were messing around and didn't really much appreciate that. But again, it's like, I don't know how much I have to clarify this. Homegirl has a whole future with Luca. It's so clear she marries this dude and ends up having a family. You are fine. But I guess she can't help herself. But then in the Kwame Style episode where she feels a certain way that they were able to solve everything and for everything to kind of go back to normal, save the day without her. Almost like she wasn't really needed, Like, because and I guess it's like that feeling of like, it's starting to sink in of like, yeah, they need the miraculous, but not necessarily you. But that's not like, my gosh, just one job, it's fine. So we're starting to kind of slowly see things might not be going okay. Star Train is the episode where we see where, I was supposed to say Luca, Adrian really took to heart about moving on. And so it's where we see a glimpse because the field trip is coupled with like a different class, like from like another school. And so we see a glimpse where he goes off to meet with Daphne, who's from that school. And, Marinette's like, oh, who is that? It's like, oh, that's Daphne. She's from whatever school that was where Kite also goes to. And it's very, like, okay, they're seeing each other. And it's confirmed in, like, literally next episode, which is Cat Blanc. Great. And where everything goes wrong. And they do try to cheer Marinette up because they're like, Chloe's like, so who's going to tell her? Because it's like, it's not happening. And they're like, girl, he's already dating someone. He's dating Daphne. It's like, but you could still be friends with him, and like everything. It's like, like really like trying to like cheer her up. It's like it doesn't work because Chloe, next thing you know, she gets dragged into the little portal, right? Going through a time screen, and Marinette's also there, but her eyes are covered, so she doesn't see anything in the future. But also she can see because. I mean, it literally doesn't matter. She already knows what's happening and what's going to happen, kind of. So it's like, really doesn't matter all that much. And so they end up like, oh, fix it, right? So now they have to fix it. The Cat Blanc is noticeably hell of a lot happier to see Chloe than he is Ladybug, right? He's like, oh my god, you're here, because you were dead. And, visibly angry when seeing Ladybug. He's like, ugh, you. And surprising that he even knows her identity. He's like, Marinette. It's like, whoa, when did this happen? And then we get the whole story where after it was like, okay, they're dating, Marinette couldn't let go of it. So she sided with Gabriel, struck a deal, told him that Chloe is Queen Bee. Which, like, what? And so Daphne had to break up with, so they really took the place of Adrian and Marinette, where took the place of it, right? And they had to break up. Adrian transformed, and for Chloe, they staged an accident. I mean, the accident was real. It did happen. The car crash did happen, right? But she wasn't dead. She just lost her memories. But they staged the whole funeral and everything. And Luca was the only one who was like, no, that's not true. Like, he was the only one that wouldn't let go of it. And to be honest, it does make sense. Like, it's like, they didn't even bother to take her miraculous. The whole thing is like, something else is going on. And so he does end up, cataclysming the body. And oh my god, look at that. It's a feather. It's not real. And so, Luca, I was now having, so during like, the whole showdown, it's King Bee, Cat Noir, and Ladybug. But Ladybug knows that he hangs back, but they don't really take notice of it yet. But they're like, so where, is it? And at this point, Gabriel's figured out, like, oh, you're Adrian. Like, that's Adrian. And he spells that Chloe and Kai are probably married by now, like whatever. Like it's also like another deal struck up. It's like, Jesus Christ, we're just trading kids. They can't like, oh yeah, you can marry this, but I don't care. What are we doing? And so they end up, and so the whole Daphne, which is so much more pissed. I like how Marinette was kind of in denial. Like, no, there's no way that Adrian, Ken or Adrian are the same people. And it's like, how did you know? Because like they're in the same people. But that's how the whole cat flunk thing happened. And then we promptly erased it because no need to lead to that catastrophe of a world. Gang of Secrets is Marinette, freaking out. And instead of like, being the way, because she's not Guardian, it's Chloe instead. And she's taking it well. She had like a whole like safe behind a painting, right? The whole thing for the like, and you have to enter a certain tune, which only she and Luca knows because it's their song. Like to get into it, you're not getting into the safe, baby. It's fine, right? And so she's taking it very well. She's like calm, collected. She's like, everything's fine, everything's chill. It's basically like babysitting a bunch of like kids at daycare anyway. So like none of this matters. Like, but Marinette is like freaking out, right? And Kanara is looking at her again, has no interest in her, right? Because again has a girlfriend. He's like, "You okay?" Like he's still concerned as a friend though, so he's like, "You okay?" So he takes her to the movie. He's like, "How about this?" And she's like freaking out. It's like, "No," and ranting, like, "No," like, "Oh, the girl takes too long to confess her feelings, and then someone else come along and blah blah." And so it's like clearly like ranting about her own life and everything. It's like, Jesus. And like, and then she meets someone else, but then she has secrets and they have to break up and blah blah. It's like, oh my god, girl, what the what are we doing? So they're like, oh boy. And so by the end of it, Chloe ends up telling her, it's like, you can tell one person in your life. Like, I'm not like, calm down for a second, right? You can tell one person in your life. Like, it's fine. And so she doesn't end up telling Aya. It's like, Jesus Christ. Calm down a little bit. You should not be this stressed. You're not Guardian anymore. But then Suhan we get her briefly kind of freaking out because we discover like, oh, she has a half brother, which again, surprising but not surprising because again, half sibling part, whatever, already knew that. But brother, what are we talking about? But because Audrey just had to say it, she's like, you had an affair, you're she's very blunt with it, which honestly, same. But she was, so instead of Zoe, it's Zach. So she's going around preparing everything like, it has to be perfect, everything has to be great for when he arrives. Fantastic. And Suhan ends up coming and, they end up having a whole fight about it. She does not care. He's not even able to get the thing anyway, because again, behind a safe and painting, it's like, it's not going anywhere. It's like he's just struggling to figure it out after he knocked out Luca. It's like, great. So now you're just sitting here looking like an idiot. Well done. Right? So end up kicking him out of a window. They end up fighting. The others join in. He's like, Adrian, he's like, what's going on? And he's, and once it kind of like again sets in, like she's gonna lose all her memories, even like childhood. What childhood? You're a stranger. She's, he's rightfully like he like, steps in front of her protectively and like is pissed off because he's not losing his childhood friend like this because he can't take the look of like how she'll look at him and they're like, who are you? I don't know who you are. Just everything gone. Absolutely not. Luca ends up joining in too. It's like, let's do this. 4v1, what you got, right? So obviously everything's resolved and they end up, then Zach ends up coming, which ends up being, instead of Soul Crusher, Digital Crusher, because obviously she's not going to put a damper on him, like, but it is someone else. It's one of his bullies from back in New York. So that's why he becomes Digital Crusher and that whole thing happens. So, I mean, it wasn't Kim either, which I feel like Kim was strictly kind of like a season 1 thing. And then from then on, it just kind of like, it happened for various different other reasons. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, bye!